Hey guys, my name is Evan and welcome to Evanomics 101, your number one source for everything econ. Have you ever wondered why countries are willing to spend billions just to host a month-long soccer tournament? On the surface, FIFA World Cup looks like the ultimate economic jackpot. You got millions of visitors, packed stadiums, you have global television audience, but beneath the celebration lies one of the biggest debates in economics. Does hosting the World Cup actually make a country richer? Or is it one of the most expensive investment governments ever make? In today's video, we're going to break down the real economics behind the World Cup. Here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover why hosting the World Cup costs so much and where does the money actually go? Who actually earns the biggest profits from FIFA, and what it means for consumers, financial markets, and whether governments could face broader economic pressures that influence policy decisions later on down the road. Before we jump into the video, I do have a quick favor that really helps grow the channel. If you enjoy simple breakdowns of economics, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe with somebody who's into this kind of content. Let's go ahead and kick off the video. So most people assume the biggest expense is building a few stadiums, and the World Cup is much bigger than that. Hosting the World Cup often requires governments to invest in airports, highways, rail system, hotels, security, telecommunication, public transportation. The stadiums alone can cost billions, but for example, in 2022, the World Cup is in Qatar. Was widely reported it involved well over 200 billion in total infrastructure spending. Although much of that investment also supported the country's broader long-term development plans rather than the tournament alone. So compare that with earlier tournaments where the costs were dramatically lower. And you'll quickly realize that every host nation has a unique economic story. So if countries spend billions, who actually gets the money? The answer is going to surprise a lot of people. Itself earns billions through broadcasting rights, sponsorship licensing, hospitality packages, ticket sales. Media rights are typically the largest source of revenue, followed by global sponsorship agreements with some of the world's biggest brands. So local businesses also benefit. Hotels often see occupancy rates surge. Restaurants become a lot more crowded. Transportation companies move thousands of, possibly millions of visitors back and forth. Frequently experience increased travel demand around the event. But here's the important distinction in all of this. Private businesses may enjoy a temporary boost, while governments are usually responsible for paying many of the long term infrastructure costs. That difference explains why economists often separate private profits from public returns. And that leads to the biggest question of all. Do host countries actually come out ahead? So, a lot of economists have debated this question for a long time. Supporters argue that hosting improves international visibility, encourages future tourism. Um, it can stimulate economic activity in the short term. Construction projects, employment, hospitality businesses hire additional workers. However, critics point out something called the substitute effect. Instead of creating entirely new spending, the event may simply shift where people spend their money. So think about it like residents might avoid busy tourist areas. Regular visitors may postpone trips because of congestion and higher prices. Some stadiums also become expensive uh, that see little use after the tournament ends. So while GDP may receive a temporary boost during construction or the event itself, the lasting economic payoff is far less certain. Naturally, that brings us to how everyday consumers experience these mega events. Quick pause, guys. If you are into this kind of content, enjoy these breakdowns, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and please share this with somebody who is into this kind of content. Let's hop back and let's look at what all of this means for inflation, jobs, and your wallet. So, major sporting events can temporarily increase demand across an economy. Hotels may raise prices, airfares climb, restaurants become more expensive, ride sharing services experience surge pricing, in hospitality, tourism, and construction may benefit. However, these gains are often just temporary. Once the tournament ends, many of the jobs disappear. The long term value depends on whether the infrastructure continues generating economic activity for years afterwards. So, consumers may also experience higher prices during the event due to stronger demand for limited goods and services. That's one reason economists carefully distinguish between short term economic excitement and long-term economic growth. And once you understand the difference, the discussion naturally expands to a broader economy. So, do events like the World Cup influence financial markets? Usually not in a direct way. Large diversified economies are driven by factors such as productivity, corporate earnings, inflation, not just one sporting event. However, companies in tourism, hospitality, hotels, and consumer goods can experience temporary increases in revenue during the tournaments. Governments also consider opportunity cost. Every dollar spent preparing for the World Cup is a dollar that cannot be spent elsewhere. So as our central banks like the Federal Reserve or the World Cup hosted outside the United States generally has little direct influence on Fed policy. The Fed focuses on broader economic indicators. Okay, that's why economists always ask one critical question, not just how much did we spend, but what else could the money have been used for? And sometimes that's the most important economic question of all. So the FIFA World Cup delivers unforgettable moments on the field, but economically, it's a much more complicated game. Some businesses earn record revenue, some workers benefit from new opportunities, but taxpayers often should but taxpayers often shoulder the cost of all of this, and the long-term financial return remains heavily debated. That's what makes the economics of World Cup so fascinating. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and share. Um, do you think, and leave in the comments, do you think hosting the World Cup is a smart economic investment or simply uh, too for most countries? So this is Economics 101, your number one source for everything econ. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.